Will Malik Monk make Kemba expendable? Can Kyrie become a leader in Boston? Does Andrew Wiggins know he's now the third option? The only question left is, say it with me, you win. Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown podcast / live show. Our first live show of the season, take two. We got a little bit wonky there that I tried another platform, but we're here, and I got Dave with me, Coach Dave Dufour, that guy Dave, all sorts of stuff. Dave, are you ready?
I am.
We have audio.
I'm always ready.
You are. Are you born ready?
Born ready, absolutely. Born ready like Malik Monk.
Yeah, well, actually, okay. Well, we should give credit to Born Ready because it's
Lance Stevenson.
Yeah, Lance. My favorite, Lance. But, man, I'm happy to be here. I kind of want to grab the well, you know what? Next time you answer a question, we're talking in this conversation, I'm going to get another browser window open. I want to see what's going on in Periscope and get the questions going. But let's talk about Malik Monk because out of Kentucky, does he remind you of anybody thus far?
You know, I actually wrote something for the website for bballbreakdown.com today about Malik Monk, but it's not live yet that I know of. But I talked a little bit about how he's actually kind of the perfect example of a modern NBA point guard. He's a scorer. He's got a good handle. He's patient in the pick and roll. And he's actually shown some flashes of good playmaking that he didn't show us when he was at Kentucky, which you and I talk about this a lot. Kentucky guys don't get to see much of them.
Yeah, wait.
And that's it.
You mean to tell me that there are skills that these Kentucky guys are displaying in the NBA that they didn't show they probably had in college? That's what you're telling me?
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
And that they could have maybe developed those skills even more had they been able to do those a little bit more in college?
Perhaps.
Yet they still go to Kentucky anyway?
Yep, they still go to Kentucky.
I have to imagine that Calipari must not be sleeping well at night, wouldn't you say, around now?
You know what? I don't know. I think he's better at it than the rest of them are. And that's all I'm going to say. Because I don't want to get I don't know. I don't want to start dishing out accusations, but let's just put it this way. He's good at what he does. Whatever it is that he does, he's very good at it.
Okay. I'm just telling you now that the FBI is involved in investigating across the country all these different college programs. There's a lot of assistant coaches and probably a lot of head coaches as well that are not sleeping well at night, and I can't imagine it's going to stop where it has stopped so far at the doorstep of Rick Pitino. Nonetheless, Malik Monk, that's what we're talking about. We're here to celebrate his game. It's funny because, the guy to me in college was like, he was just a playmaker, right? He could just flat out make a play when you needed it to. It kind of reminded me of Monte Ellis.
Yeah, only he can shoot. Right. So, and he can shoot. I love that people have noticed this, but he can shoot pull-up threes with a couple of hands in his face. He just doesn't care. He's it's his shot-making ability is pretty incredible. And Steve Clifford actually talked about that last night, how he's already got elite shot-making ability. Now he needs to become a complete basketball player. I think we're starting to see a little bit of what he's got, and I'm looking forward to watch him develop. I think, and I think I said, did I say this to you? I believe that the way he plays, he's going to force himself onto the court. He may put them in a position maybe not, definitely not this year. Definitely not this year. But for sure by next year, where they're wondering if they got to move Kemba.
Yeah, you are right.
Monk is good.
And you know what? The thought will cross their mind this year. I don't know if they're going to do anything about it, but I have to imagine yes, because that's what I'm seeing. Really poised. He's a one and done, right?
Yeah, he was one and done.
Very poised. I mean, we're seeing some guards come in who are very polished and very poised. And yes, he's running pick and roll. He's bringing the ball. The best thing I saw about him, a couple of times I watched a lot of these clips of him, he brings the ball but never has to turn his back on the defender to bring it up. He can handle it so well. You're not taking it from him, and he can just do whatever he wants with it up the court and then run your offense for you from the top of the key.
Well, and he's also really great at screen denial. So, the screener – typically in a pick and roll, a guy goes around a screen. That's what we're used to seeing. But he's really great at baiting his defender into the screen and then going away from the screen. And then he can finish through traffic, which I just think is It's next level stuff as far as scoring. But he can hit the mid range pull ups. He can just do so much. And I'm like his offensive game is it's unique actually because of the elite ball handling. He's only 6'3" and he's able to hit shots over people. And this isn't like Steph Curry taking 30-footers. I mean, he's taking them at the line with a hand in his face. So it's pretty incredible. Someone in the Periscope chat, Denzel, asks if Monk and Kemba backcourt can't work, and it's not that they can't. I think you will see them a lot together this year, and Monk may even start at the beginning of the year while Batum is out. But that's a really, really small backcourt. And as of right now, I don't know if Monk's going to defend. I mean, he's a really great athlete, so he should be able to figure it out. Steve Clifford seems to think he can figure it out. But, Kemba is not an all-NBA defensive player, and I don't know that Monk is today. I don't know that you can do that and actually compete for a championship to have those two small guys. But I don't know. They're going to be fun. They'll score a lot with those two on the court.
Well, no, and the answer is yes, they can play together, and they will. And we'll see it. It'll probably be fun. We don't see enough of that. We don't see, although Monk, I don't know how traditional of a point guard he is, even though he's now showing us he's got these skills. But, even going back to, freaking Eric Maynor and Russell Westbrook together, or you see CP3 and Darren Collison playing together. We've seen that from 40, 50 years ago. These two point guards going together. And again, for stretches, for sure, I think it works. And if you're not playing against Nick Anderson and Penny Hardaway in the backcourt, then you can do it. You don't need to have the traditional I just catch and shoot and then the other guy just runs the pick and roll. I think it gives your offense a lot more variance where you can now, you don't know who's going to pick and roll, you don't know who's going to spot up. Who we're seeing that with is basically the Rockets are doing that, and they're going to do that all season long.
Yeah, but again, Harden is big. Harden's
stout.
Burly. He's burly.
Oh, he's
That's
burly.
the new word this year.
All right, we're
burly.
switching to burly.
So he's just he's solid, and so it's a little bit different. And also, if Harden gets caught in a switch, he's shown the ability to guard fours in the post. So I don't know that Malik Monk or Kemba are going to be able to do that. And I don't know, but anyway, I'm just really excited about Malik Monk, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does this year. As a matter of fact, this whole rookie class, it has so many fun guys. I've been, Donovan Mitchell. I can't get enough of watching him. The other night, he was fantastic in that preseason game.
Oh, yeah.
All of the rookies for Boston and Jaylen Brown, who's a second-year player. I've just been – that team is so much fun to watch when all those young guys are out there. Kyle Kuzma, which we've talked about quite a bit, and I believe – don't you have a video coming?
I'm working on that. Yes, I am. So make sure that you keep your eyes open for a Kuzma video maybe tomorrow to celebrate his game. And also while we're talking about that, don't forget to subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever else you find our podcast, and on the CLNS Media network. And also you can watch us or listen to us on their app, their mobile app, CLNS Media. So yes, you got Kuzma's coming up. David Caruso. Is it David Caruso?
No, David Caruso. It can't be David Caruso.
I know.
Can it?
It's Caruso, who I thought, he did some really fun stuff in Summer League for the Lakers, and everyone was getting really hyped up about him. I kept just thinking, every play he made, which were good plays, seemed to test the absolute limit of his athletic ability to kind of just barely get it done, and they had Summer League talent. So I was like, it's not going to translate. But you know what? I watched him against that in that game against with Donovan Mitchell in there, and he was making plays. He was really making plays. So I don't know. Is he like their fourth guard off the bench? I'm sorry.
He may be the backup. He might be the backup point guard. It's Alex Caruso. I don't know why
Caruso.
I couldn't think of that off the top of my head.
But, because David Caruso was great, an officer and a gentleman.
Yeah. I think he might be their backup point guard. He's got good size. My wife commented on, she said, why is that 45-year-old guy out there? And I was like,
we're not supposed to tell everybody what the number was, are we?
Yeah, not you.
Who?
Talking about Caruso.
Oh, well, because, it was my birthday yesterday.
I know. Wait, you turned 45 yesterday?
I did. I liked being Jerry West for that whole year, and now I'm I guess I'm Michael Jordan version 2.
Baseball version.
Yeah. No, he was 45 when he came back, remember? For a little bit.
I know. Yeah. Do you remember the other number that he used?
Yeah, like 12.
Yeah, 12.
Is that what it was? And by the way, that's crazy. That just popped up on my timeline. The game he played because someone stole his jersey? Is that what happened?
Yeah, someone stole his jersey.
Wow.
Really funny. And, that's the kind of stuff like the old NBA used to have, right? Like crazy stories like that. And we don't get those anymore. That's a little sad.
Now, here's the thing. I haven't been on Periscope in a little while. Do you know what they changed?
No.
You can now scroll through all these comments.
Oh, that's awesome.
It doesn't come in one massive deluge, which you miss every one of them. This is amazing, guys. Periscope. It only took you 6 months. Wow. What else is going? Anything else that updated since the last season ended? I wonder. I can't wait to see. This is amazing. We can finally answer questions from everybody.
Absolutely. And my Malik Monk piece just dropped.
Oh, and we timed that. That was the point, right? Thank you, Jesse Blanchard, editor-in-chief.
Synergy.
Yes.
Actually, and Jesse wrote about Joel Embiid, which, is someone else you and I wanted to talk about today.
Best center in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. He looks like a Hall of Fame player when he's out there. As a matter of fact, I'd go ahead and say it. Like, he has Hall of Fame talent. It's his issue is that he doesn't have the skill of availability. Now, if he can stay healthy, and if he plays 60 games, I think that the Sixers can win 41 games. Not out of 60, but I think they can win 41 overall.
Okay.
If he could play 70 games, I think he could be the MVP this year.
Wow. Well, see, James and I had this discussion on Wednesday about this, which is exactly that. If he plays 60 games, they win 35. And, right? Like, they probably win 35. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a number. 33, 34. Well, of the remaining 22 games, they only need to win like 7 or 8 then to make the playoffs. So in my mind, that's like doable if they get into that point. So the only thing I want to say is I think one of those years where he didn't play hardly at all kind of felt like that was part of the process of tanking, right? Where he could have played and they just sort of didn't. He would have gotten his a big chunk of games in there for whatever reason they were being really careful with him. So I do want to throw that out there, and I also want to say, like, get out of my mentions if you're going to come at me in Twitter just sort of like expecting him to get hurt. Just frustrates me. Like that's the tone, and I really hate it.
It's so. Listen, when we talk about these players, like one of the things we talk about all the time is, we say with the expectation of health, right? That when we're projecting things, that's one thing. But the other thing is we always root for everyone to be healthy because it's better if everyone's healthy. Like we should all. I mean, and I listened to. I was listening to I think Zach Lowe's podcast where he said GMs from competing teams are rooting for Embiid to be healthy just because they're fans of the game. Like, in and of itself, also, he's one of the best personalities in the NBA. He's so much fun, and his teammates love him. Like, this is a guy, like, I really am pulling for him to be healthy, be on the court, and have a Hall of Fame career. And if you read the language of his contract, what's come out, it looks like their big concerns are the foot and the back. Foot injuries for big men especially are dangerous, but there was no language in there about the knee, so I'm sure that the Sixers are pretty confident that his knee's healthy. He hadn't had a foot problem in a while now. It's been over a year. I mean, remember he played last year. When his season ended, it was the knee, and a lot of that was being,
overly
extra cautious.
Yeah.
And then the back, right? So he hadn't had any back injuries, or problems that we know of that have required surgery. So there's every expectation to think this guy's going to be healthy. I mean, I'm thinking that this year he probably plays in the 60 to 65 range, barring injury, because they're going to use kid gloves with him. But I think if he gets to 70, he'll have a real case for MVP. His per 36 numbers last year were right up there with Wilt Chamberlain as a rookie. And that's just, I mean, it's incredible. It's rarefied air.
Yeah, and to speak to that point, even aside from the actual stats, when you watch him on the court, and I know against the Nets, they had guys who were 4 or 5 inches shorter than him and just didn't really have the size to guard him, but he just is so overwhelming. And it's like, and he doesn't even have to try. That's the other thing is it's like he just sort of exists. And by the way, I'm not even sure I like what they were doing on offense. It really was like, and maybe they hadn't been practicing a lot with him and it was very rudimentary, but it was like there's so much fun they can have with movement to get him low post touches instead of just like he literally was kind of walk down the lane line and try and like muscle a catch and whatever. And it was like, that's not the Embiid that I like. I like the Embiid when they flash him on a shuffle cut across the lane and now he's using his speed and his size to catch the ball and then do a nice move or something like that. I hope they get to that because we've seen a little bit of that in Brett Brown's offense, but either way, I mean, setting a screen, popping for three, and then he goes and posts up down low and overwhelms the guy and he has to get fouled or whatever. He can make mid-range shots. He can make passes. Then he's blocking shots. Some of the Sixers were just getting blown by, and he would just come out from the behind and just knock the ball away. I mean, like he just covers everything everywhere. And, even if they limit him to 28 minutes a game just to be cautious anyway, that means he's going to be really spry and really, he won't get tired. That's going to be even better for him.
Yeah, and he scored 22 and 14 minutes last night. And I know it's preseason, but it doesn't look like he's rusty, and that's good. And it almost feels like his whole team gets a lift by having him on the court, and that's a big deal. So, I think that I think Embiid is going to be good. There's no doubt in my mind if Embiid was healthy, if he didn't have these health concerns, and let's say he missed the first two seasons still, but he played a normal schedule last year, didn't have the knee surgery. I think coming into the season, a lot of people would be saying Joel Embiid is a top 15 player, possibly top 10. Right?
He's higher than 50. I mean, you can healthy if he gets 70 games, he's top 5.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's just got that much talent, and he keeps adding to his game. It's crazy that he hadn't really played basketball that long.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, he's just one of those people, man. He picks things up fast. He's super smart. And just a crazy athlete. And with that size, I called him the most dangerous offensive player or the most dangerous center since Shaq.
Yeah, absolutely. But more because he can spread the floor and shoot threes, handle the ball. Like Shaq could never shoot outside of about 4 feet. So, by the way, just a shout out to you for the phrase "skill of availability." That'll be the title of the podcast. So we'll use that. We'll take a page from our Positive America friends of the breakdown. We have a good question here by Triviaman17 who asks, "Where does Giannis rank in your respective MVP races?" He's quickly forgotten it a little bit here.
Not by me. I think Giannis is for sure going to be a top 5 MVP candidate. But the difference between being the MVP and being number 5 is going to be the number of wins. You're not going to see the Russell Westbrook vote like you did last year, where if his team wins 48 games, I'm going to tell you right now, Giannis is not winning the MVP. He's going to need his team to win like 55, 56 games to be in the top 3. And this is why I think this is probably Kawhi's year, as long as he's healthy. Ooh. Because they're gonna win 55 to 58 games, maybe even 60 because it's the Spurs. And Kawhi is gonna just keep doing Kawhi things, being a two-way threat, shutting down the opposing team's best player. And with Giannis, I think that last year was like a huge coming out for him. I've never seen a guy go from where he was to where he went last year. That was such a huge leap. Does he have another leap like that in him? Right? Can he become a 28 a night scorer and maybe average triple double? I mean, he could legitimately average triple double. Like he's not going to need people to not rebound. To get those rebounds. I hate to say it, but that's just the truth.
Yes.
So.
Just to review, he got basically 23 points a game last year, 9 rebounds, 5.4 assists. The assists obviously would have to go up, but the team will be better, and if they're all kind of going to get healthy eventually, he'll have more weapons to pass to who can get him more assists. I don't know, though. I don't know if he can get to double-digit assists. That just seems like a big jump for him. But either way, and the biggest issue he has is his three-point shooting. He didn't take that many, but he shot under 30%, and that's just not going to cut it. And we have to see him do better than that, and that'll help. That'll juice up his scoring. Now, by that rationale, by the way, are you saying that Kawhi should have gotten the MVP if Russ didn't detonate instead of Harden?
I think Kawhi was the MVP last year, and I think Harden. I mean, my argument toward the end of the year was if you voted Harden, Kawhi, or Russ, it was hard for me to argue against it.
Right.
But the one that I had the easiest time arguing against is Russ because his team just didn't win very many games.
Okay, yeah, I hear you. Is that a similar argument to LeBron should have won MVP of the finals if his team lost in when he had that crazy the 2015?
Yeah, I mean, he for sure was the most valuable player in the series, but it's hard to give an MVP to a guy on the losing team. I mean, that's American sports in a nutshell, right? Like, it's just not going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
So.
It did happen once, but yes.
Right, but it's just not going to happen now.
Right. All right. Well, there you go. Any other questions we have on Periscope we want to jump into? First of all, I just want to scroll up and down. I can't get over how great this is now that Periscope did this.
Yeah. I was asked to spell out Antetokounmpo.
Ooh.
Yeah. Can you do that?
I just practice every day pronouncing it, but I don't know. I mean, I know it's Ante.
Yep. Almost there.
And then
only 70 more letters. Yep.
Ante, to E?
No.
U.
It's an O.
Oh. Antetokounmpo, and then there's a K-U-O-M-P-O, whatever. I don't know. Yes.
K-O-U-N-M-P-O. Yep.
Yes.
He gets all the letters, basically.
Yeah, that's right.
This is compelling podcasting right here.
Hey, you brought it up, man. I'm just on the ride for the ride. Hey,
okay, you know what?
But no, I'm talking about Periscope scrolling, so I'm not with the program.
So we've got a question. I'm assuming it's a soft J. Jurgen 33 asks, is Kevin Love starting at center a good idea? And how do you feel about D Wade in the starting lineup?
We cut to J.R. Smith's reaction. we need that sound effect of a car crashing.
J.R. Smith should be the starter.
Yes. Well, Dwayne Wade should play 24 minutes a game.
As Manu Ginobili.
Yeah.
Come in, play, make, do your thing.
Absolutely.
You can't have D Wade and Derrick Rose on the court at the same time. And it's just going to be kind of rough, which is why you're going to have Kevin Love starting at the 5. Now, with that being said, in the finals, the Kevin Love at the 5 lineups were pretty good, even on defense, and the Tristan Thompson lineups were not. So Tristan Thompson, this whole idea like Kevin Love can't play against the Warriors, which is really what this is all about, is kind of going away. Like, he can actually play, but he needs to play the 5.
So wait, you saw on-off numbers for him at the 5 or whatever that were good in the finals?
Yeah, they were.
At center? Okay.
At center. And you know what? I wish I had him pulled up, but I didn't realize we would even talk about this. So
right. I mean, then again, him at center, without doubt, was also with Kyrie and LeBron.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, he was out there with their most powerful lineups.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. All those stats are really interesting, and I think we're going to slowly, hopefully, maybe refine them even more. I don't even know if you can, but I don't know. My first impression is that it's not. You know what? Maybe it is okay for him. Obviously, he can't go 5 when they go the small ball lineup at depth. They can't do that. He'd have to guard, Durant or Draymond, right? That doesn't seem like that would work.
No.
So, and then Steve Kerr,
it's not going to work.
Whenever he wants to, can just do it.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, it's not going to work.
Yeah,
for the Warriors, but it'll work for the 29 other teams that they play, and that's the thing. Everybody is essentially playing for second place because of the stuff that the Warriors can do.
Right. Yeah. But then again, they got to still play, and they got Buster Douglas fought Mike Tyson like he was a regular fighter, and look what happened.
Yeah, but that was in Tokyo.
We need the NBA in Tokyo. Is what you're saying.
There it is. Yeah, you gotta flip things upside down.
Right.
You need people to get tired. So let's see. Swaggy P. Lino asked if we think Kyrie Irving can prove to be a leader for the Celtics. Do you want to go with that first?
It's a good question because is Kyrie that guy? Really hasn't had a chance to show that at all. He certainly probably wanted to, which is one of the reasons why he left, although there's probably other reasons why. But, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be his thing. Because the other thing is you got like Gordon Hayward, who's sort of like quiet, right? Like he's not really a guy. And maybe you don't even need that, right? With this Brad Stevens style, you don't need a CP3. So, but I do think that here's what I think Kyrie will bring. He will bring like swaggy confidence to them, right? I think that is what he's going to do. He will uplift them with his play, and because it's going to be, he does those amazing finishes and he can do that stuff and make these shots. So I think that's what's going to give them that sense. Probably in the same way that Isaiah did as well, where they knew they can go and get him a bucket whenever they needed it to, and that's what he'll do as well. And so I feel like, and also he can wear his ring. Right, and he can also, people are looking and going, man, you hit that shot in Game 7 of the finals to win. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to have that kind of stuff where, that's going to really help. That's going to go a long way towards helping him lead without having to like be a real total vocal guy. So, what do you think?
I think a couple of things. One, when you have an organization like the Celtics, you don't need Kyrie to be a leader because their coach is actually a leader. Their coach is empowered. Their coach can make decisions. Players aren't going over the coach's head and going to management. So that's one, right? So that's great because that takes the pressures off. To me, it takes the pressure off the players to have to do this stuff that really doesn't matter all that much. I think the ideas that we have about leadership, listen, this is not war. These guys are not hanging out in a foxhole. They're not battling insurgents. They're not doing anything that really requires leadership. The way you lead on a basketball court is you move the basketball, right? You make good basketball plays. You play hard defense. Like, you lead by example. You don't need to be out there barking at people. The Chris Paul style of leadership really wears down his teammates. I mean, we've seen that, and we've talked about it quite a bit. And I actually think that that's a mistake to try to force a player to do that because I actually don't think it works. I don't know a lot of winning players that have been like that, at least not publicly. Now, in practice, you definitely want your best players to push your other players, your role players, to do more and to work hard and all this other stuff. But again, that can also be an example thing. I don't think Al Horford is out there barking at people, but the guy plays hard every minute he's on the court, and he's as much of a leader in the NBA as we've got. So I don't care if Kyrie is a quote unquote leader. I just want him to go out there, play hard, show effort on defense, and as a matter of fact, in the preseason game last night, he was fantastic. He had 10 assists and no turnovers. I mean, that's really difficult to do. So, I think that so far everything's looking pretty good.
Yeah, so perhaps and people kind of yelled at me when I had this prediction that his assists are going to go up. I felt like he could really get to that 8 or 9 a game level with the way the offense can get, where he can facilitate more than he did in Cleveland. It looks like that's going to be a very potential reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we got a couple more questions coming in here. Let's see here. How well do you think Rudy Gay will fit in the Spurs system? I haven't seen Rudy Gay. Has he been playing with them yet?
Yeah, I haven't been able to see any video. He was cleared to play, and I haven't watched anything because Kawhi's out, and so I don't.
Well, that's the other thing is people are completely sleeping on the Spurs again, and we know that guys like Berton and Murray are going to fit into that system and play well and plug in all the holes they would get normally from all the other stuff in cover for Tony Parker. So you're right. Like when you say they're going to win 60 games, I mean, I think people they're so asleep on them that it's like their beard is already down their knees at this point. The way they're sleeping, it's crazy.
Yeah, I actually predicted 55 wins.
Okay.
On my podcast when I did the preview for them, and a lot of that is just because I think OKC and Houston got so much better, and while the Spurs, they kind of got a little less athletic. They lost Jonathan Simmons, they lost Dwayne Dedmon, and I think that matters. I think they also will rest Kawhi a little bit more, especially if this tendinopathy thing is a real thing. I expect Rudy Gay to rest quite a bit, and I think LaMarcus will rest quite a bit. So. Yeah, I think 55, and I think that's where they're comfortable. Really, I don't think that Pop likes to win 60 games.
Yeah,
I think it's
fair enough.
I think he likes that 55 to 59 range, and I know this is going to sound so weird to say, but I think that that's really what he likes because you can create some adversity, okay, by losing games. And you and I have talked about this with the Warriors a little bit and how they went on that swoon in the middle of last season and how. I started to feel like it was almost on purpose because the rotations were really weird. And then, it allows – so he also will throw games – not throw them, but he throws his bench into games.
For sure.
And sometimes you're going to lose those games because you don't have as much talent on the court, but it's okay because he's thinking long term. So, yeah, I think 55 is where I have him. And when I released the podcast, I even said Spurs fans are going to be pissed because how dare I say that they're going to not win 60 games, but at some point it's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's fine. You're right. For all those points, all very well said stuff. So, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. The Kawhi thing is a little bit nerve-wracking to me because obviously you just want to see him play. Just like you want to see Embiid play, Kawhi has that similar thing. And do you know what the prognosis is? The most recent thing was he'll be ready opening night, I believe, right?
I think he's going to be ready opening night. And, James and I talked about it, and he was wondering if this wasn't setting up down the line. Oh, he's had a flare-up of the tendinopathy, and he's got to sit out a game or two, and it's going to be nationally televised games. Playing the long game.
Yeah, that doesn't. Although it was very strange, right? Because as far as I could tell, there really wasn't any report of the injury. Then he said it was a recurring injury or something. It just seemed way out of left field, especially considering they've been off for 3 months, in the off season, right? Doesn't that seem really strange?
Well, Kawhi's not taking any time off.
Okay.
That guy is a gym rat. I mean, so he definitely wasn't taking any time off. And it could be a legitimate issue. I mean, and that is something that could be serious, right? It takes a while to come back. Reggie Jackson had some tendinopathy last year and a similar thing, and it caused a flare-up in his knees and all this other stuff. So if it's real, I expect him to be totally cautious with him. But if it's not real, I also would not be shocked.
Okay, fair enough. One last question we can grab from the scope. Anybody out there? Top 10 offensive player in the league. People are saying no. Oh, and now we don't know who he's talking about, though.
I don't know who he's talking about.
Damn, you got something we were talking about.
How about will Wiggins take the next step this season from Emery Ricks? Well, he did. I'll tell you what. He took a really good step, signing a 5-year, $148 million extension. Good for him.
Yeah.
As far as taking a step on the basketball court,
will he accept his role? It's like the end of the Batman from the 60s. Will he accept his role? Can he play in the shadow of Jimmy Butler and Karl Anthony Towns? Will he be willing to do that? I mean, he's the third fiddle, right? I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and he doesn't shoot threes well enough to just be like a regular spot-up guy. It's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tricky for him to really prove that he's worth that full max. It's going to be hard.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I feel like if 80% of the people that get the full max, we always think they're not going to earn what they make.
Sure. So and then most of them wind up being pretty damn good.
Well, we just need to readjust what that means because at some point, it's maybe it is enough of what they're making.
We can start calling it a situational max, right? So this was a situational max.
Yeah.
He's obviously not a max player on the basketball court right now, but the situation dictates that he's a max player. And this is, we've seen this quite a bit. I mean, Harrison Barnes is sort of a situational max, although I think Harrison Barnes is a better player than Wiggins.
Yeah.
Today, and so but with Wiggins, I think if he can defend like Jimmy Butler, then all of a sudden, okay, now you're cooking, right? Like because he can score 20 a night, and he's got a really diverse skill set on offense. The defense is bad. I mean, there's a lot of statistics that show that he was the worst defender in the league last year of anybody who played over 20 minutes a game or something.
Okay.
He was not good. And so if he can defend at an elite level, like all NBA level this year, which is not likely, but if he did, and his offensive game basically just stayed the same, I think that's max talent. So
okay, I can follow that. Yeah. I mean, for sure. And then, the bottom line is they'll be better. They'll win more games, and that's the thing. Because, again, there's no room in the playoffs for the Minnesota right now, the way it's going. Like, you're looking at everyone else. Like, I don't know where Denver and Minnesota are supposed to fit in there. I mean, I guess that means Dallas and, Memphis drop down or whatever. But those guys aren't going to go down so easily. So, Portland. It's an interesting dilemma, which we'll be talking about all season long as this Western Conference unfolds.
Before we go, unless you want to save this for Sunday or for the Monday pod when we talk about the awards, who do you have in the playoffs in the West?
I think Denver I like Denver's team, so I'm just going to be what's my irrationally exuberant about Denver.
I have Denver as a 6 seed.
Yeah, okay. I don't have I don't think. Let's see here. I'm forgetting who else is in the West. Let me get my thing up real quick. But who do you have?
So I've got obviously the top four is everyone's top four: Golden State, Houston, OKC, San Antonio, in some order.
Right.
5, I've got Portland. 6, I've got Denver, and then 7 or 8. I don't know who's going to get it. 7 or 8 is between Minnesota, Utah, and the Clippers. Maybe have a chance if everything breaks right.
Right.
I don't think the Pelicans have a shot. I don't think any of these teams, these fake pretender or these like pretenders to the throne kind of. Yeah, like I don't think they'd really have a chance at the playoffs. I think it's those 3 battling for the last 2 spots.
Right. I mean, I almost want to go backwards the other way. It's like Phoenix won't make it, the Lakers won't make it, the Kings won't make it. I mean, the Mavericks probably don't make it. That's 4, and of the what is it? 15? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 15. So yeah, now you're talking about 11 teams left for the 8 spots. I mean, the Pelicans are strange because they certainly have a dominating talent, at least in the front court heavy. So I don't know about that. But then, and the Blazers again, another conundrum. They should be. I mean, are the Blazers going to finish higher than the Clippers? They with Nurkic, maybe they do.
Maybe. A lot of people in the chat are saying, what about Memphis? And the thing about Memphis is this: their offense is going to get better. Last year, they played more minutes. They devoted more minutes to people who had a effective field goal percentage under 42% than any team in the league. So they played more minutes for more bad shooters than any other team. Their offense was terrible. So I think their offense is going to get better, but I also think their defense is going to get worse. And, is this the year? Marc Gasol's 33 years old, man. I know he's changed his game and become more perimeter-based, but I'm more worried about the defensive slip. Is Mike Conley going to be able to repeat what he did last year where he had the best season of his career by far? Is he going to be able to repeat that? Now, a lot of that is due to usage, right? He had more usage than he ever had. So we'll see what happens, man. I like Memphis. I just, and I'd love to see him in the playoffs, but I don't know. I'm curious if Gasol makes it through the season there. If things aren't going well, it might be time for them to start thinking about moving along and getting started on the rebuild. It sucks because Conley just signed that huge contract, and he's got a lot of money owed, and I don't know who would take his contract. But right. Gasol, 33 years old, big, foot problems. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't know. I mean, Gasol just never quite understood that he's at his best when he's playing like Embiid, like a dominate. He needs to dominate, look to score more often, and be more aggressive. And it's not how he is. And that's when I always thought Memphis was at their best, when he was just getting FU points and really causing problems.
And he did that last year a lot, though. He did that last year a lot.
I guess I
they
would
asked
still
him to
see
score more.
Yeah, I guess. To me, it still felt like he would defer a lot when he didn't need to, and then get stuck on the perimeter and stuff like that. So, anyway, we'll have to see what happens. But we'll have a really fun show for Monday morning or live maybe Sunday night, and a lot of stuff happening. So, anything else you want to report before we sign off?
No.
Good.
That's it.
All right. Good stuff.
Easy.
We had a little bit of a hiccup this morning or earlier before this, but we're back in the saddle, and we'll be doing our live shows and our podcasts, and subscribe and whatever and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know. Don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Dave?
Yes, I am.